Okay, so let's get into how do you fix it? All right. Okay, so how you fix it? Number one, you got to know your underwriting guidelines. You got to keep those with you. What drives me crazy is when I get calls from people and they say, well, I have this person that's 5'11", 275 pounds, and I'm not sure if they'll fit in the underwriting guidelines. It's like, dude, don't you have the height and weight chart with you? No. Dude, how you downloaded it from our training site. Or I get medication, Alex, they're taking this medication. Again, do you have the medication list with you? Did you download it on there? No. Okay. You're supposed to have downloaded it from our training website, and the medication list is a list of all medications that will cause a decline or cause a graded or cause a problem. So you can't download that and read it off. I mean, sometimes it amazes me. The stuff I put on our training website, it doesn't seem like people care that it's on there. Like, I don't put stuff on there for fun. I just put stuff on there because it's going to help you not get blown out of the business because of chargebacks, right? So you got to know your underwriting guidelines, which means you need to have it with you. You need to have all the underwriting guides with you. Forster's underwriting guideline, CFG underwriting guideline. They even make it a little bit easier on the term because they have a unacceptable list, a page of things that are unacceptable from Jump Street on their term product. Like, if you don't have that with you, it's like, that's insanity. The third one, Transamerica, they all have underwriting guidelines. You need to have them with you, either on your phone, on a PDF, on a Dropbox. Like on our Dropbox, it's all there under underwriting guideline folder. Okay. All the height and weight charts, all the medication lists. If you have Dropbox on your phone, you can click. No, click. It's 3 clicks away to get to all those guides on our Dropbox folder. And again, Alex, where do I get the Dropbox folder? It's on the training website, on the Quick Training website. But you either have it on your Dropbox on your phone, or in your iBooks on your iPhone, or on, I recommend paper. Having it in like a special folder with all your underwriting guidelines, all your height and weight charts, and medication lists. I'd have it all in one folder, your underwriting folder, so because that's stuff you can control. So if your patient, they really are your patient. If they're out of those underwriting guidelines, you cannot write that policy. Alex, I need underwriting guidelines on the final expense on whole life. Dude, the whole life applications underwrite it for you. All right? You just need to have the medication list and the height and weight guidelines. Then every question, there's a knockout section. So if they answer yes to any of those knockout questions, okay, then they aren't eligible for the product. So right away you'll know based on the questions. So you have to go through the questions. It's like automatic underwriting. On the term policies, you need to really know, and that's why you have your underwriting guidelines with you. Okay, don't let the first time you look through an underwriting guide be the time you're in front of a client. Read all your underwriting guidelines first. Study them. Read through them all before you ever go on an appointment. Like, again, control the things you can control. It's kind of like e-apps. Go through the e-apps. Write an e-app on yourself before, and don't even submit it, but just go through it before you ever get in front of a client. Fill out a paper app yourself before ever getting in front of a client. Know all the boxes you're supposed to fill out. You got to practice this thing. Practice before you get out there. All right? Like, I hope this will help your place of Persistency in a huge way. But have your underwriting guidelines with you. I like to find out on the phone. This is just me. Even today, even last year when I was writing business in the field, I want to know on the phone, by the way, Joan Mary, just real quick, what kind of medications are you taking? This is after I booked the appointment. Okay, I booked the appointment, lock it down. Hey, by the way, before I come out, just so I can make this, make this the shortest appointment possible. Okay, so I'm not at your house all night. Okay, What medications are you taking? Have you had any surgeries? I want to know medications and surgeries. And then if they say, well, I'm taking metformin. Oh, okay. What is metformin for? What are you taking that for? So I want to know the medication and why they're taking it. The surgeries, yeah, I had surgery. I had a triple bypass. Oh, okay. How long ago was that triple bypass? I want to know how long ago it was and how many arteries. I want to know some detail, but I don't keep them on the phone long. Okay? I just want to know those things. If I can know those things, then what I can do is I can call underwriting at the company and get a risk assessment. And let the underwriting department teach you underwriting. I tell you, I spent hours on the phone after I got started with underwriting, because my upline didn't know squat about underwriting. I had to learn it from the companies. Each company, they're willing to train you if you're willing to do risk assessments with them, and then you start learning underwriting. You start getting into the lingo. They will ask you, well, did you ask this question or this question? Okay, they will prompt you with what you need to ask next time you run into the same situation. They will teach you. So let the insurance companies teach you, all right? The underwriting guides also have issue ages. So if you're wondering about whether or not a certain age will get a certain product, they have all that stuff there too. But seriously, don't get burned on things you can control. This is more oriented to placement, okay? Getting a policy issue paid, all right? One thing that just drives me nuts is when someone gets declined based on what was on the application. When it gets declined based on what was on the application, that means you didn't follow the underwriting guidelines on whether or not that person could get that policy. All right? Okay, so number one, know your underwriting guidelines. Number two, let's go through the sales process, and I'll tell you in each part of the sales process where, so if you know my sales process, really the sales process of the ATM, you've got bond and rapport, you got find their pain, then you go to the upfront contract, telling them what's going to happen next, right? And then you go to fulfilling your promises to them. This is where you fulfillment. This is where you show the rates, and then write the app out. And then you got the post-sell. The post-sale process, okay? So in each of these phases in this process are placement persistency things that you need to get down like tight. So let's talk about the bond and rapport, right? The thing about bond and rapport is it affects everything. It affects placement, it affects persistency, because your client has to trust you, all right? You got to do that part right. If anything, it's the foundation of placement, because if they don't trust you, even if they buy from you, the chances are they're probably going to cancel it, all right? So the thing about bond and rapport is that once you get bond and rapport right, okay, and this kind of transitions into the pain process, okay, then you can ask deeper pain questions. When you have a strong trust level with the client, then you can ask some hard-hitting pain questions on, so tell me, Mary, when Joe dies tomorrow because he got hit on a head-on collision, what is you and your family going to do? Where are you going to live? Can you make the mortgage payment? You start asking penetrating questions. So are you going to have to move in with your family? And she says, well, yeah, I guess for a short while. So you're going to have to take your kids out of school, their current school. Do they live close by? Yeah, they actually live in another city. So we'd have to take our kids out of school. Oh, wow. I mean, you start asking deep questions. You start asking drill down questions. You can't do that unless the bond and rapport is right. Now, why is it important to be able to get the pain finding right? Well, look, number one, you can't sell anyone that doesn't have pain. So if they don't have pain, you can't sell them anything. And so the key to placement and persistency is that you identify this strong enough that whatever that you put in front of them that solves their pain is something they want to keep forever or until they die, okay? They want to keep it for the long haul. So you solve their problem with the best program, Okay, I get people that get so fired up because they think they asked enough pain questions, which is one pain question. Like the one pain question. So Mary, tell me what happens when, Joe dies. Are you gonna be able to make the mortgage payment? No, it's gonna be tough. Oh, okay, looks like you need this. Let me tell you what's gonna happen next. And you think you drilled it down just because they said what you wanted to hear, but you didn't get them to elaborate on how hard it's going to be. So you don't fool yourself. That's the 11th commandment, is thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth. Okay? Don't fool yourself that something could happen if you didn't identify the pain strong enough so that the solution you put in front of them is something they're going to want to keep. How you know you did the pain process right is if you at least ask 10 questions. It's kind of the 10 question rule. If you ask 10 questions, you probably did it right. You probably did it and you got to the emotional reason why they want it. And if they're the ones doing all the talking, then you did it right because you want them to do all the talking. So once you've nailed that down, then you know that they're probably going to keep their policy. You've given them a solution they're going to want. Okay, let's talk about the upfront contract. It's basically, this is what's going to happen next. All right, you clearly define what's going to happen. Okay, so in the upfront contract, Joe, Mary, let me tell you what's going to happen. Okay, to help you take care of the pain that you have. You don't say that, but so Mary, so that doesn't happen to you. This is what's going to happen next. Okay, and then you draw it out. What's going to happen next? What we're going to do is we're going to fill out an application. We're going to send it to the insurance company. Okay, and the insurance company is going to decide whether or not they're going to approve you. So we don't know if you can think about anything. I get Mary Jo and Mary, I get a lot of people say they want to think about it. You have nothing to think about yet until you know it's issued. So this is not a think about it stage. A think about it stage is after we get it issued and I deliver it to you, and then you can think about if you want to increase it or decrease it or whatever. All right, this is not a think about it stage. And then once they approve it, yes, they're going to get it back to me, and then I'm going to get it to you, or they might send it directly to you, in which case I'm going to come over there, I'm going to go over it with you. Okay, that's what's going to happen. If they say, no, you're not going to get it, the product, then I'm going to come back to you, and then we're going to get to the next program, because we've got several different programs. So we're going to try to see if your health will qualify for the best program for your health. If not, then I'm going to come back. See how all this is setting expectations of what's going to happen? All right? So you've got to do the upfront contract right. They need to agree to this, they're not going to think about it. They need to agree to it, and you need to make sure you clearly identify expectations. That, hey, we'd love for you to get it, but you may not get it. They may decline because of something in your medical background. Okay, you got to set them up for it. Don't be too rosy about it. So that's why we need to submit to see if you get approved, in which case then we can determine whether or not you can think about anything. So tonight's not a think about night. See, this process is there is no mutual mystification. In other words, they know what's going to happen, you know what's going to happen, and then everything's good. All right? So that's the upfront contract. You got to make sure you get that down. The fulfillment of promises. Why do I call it fulfillment? Because the upfront contract, you tell them you're going to show them options that's going to meet their needs and budget, and then they're going to pick one option. When they pick that one option that'll meet their needs and budget, then we're going to fill out a request for coverage form. I don't like to call it application. We can call it application. We're going to fill out a request for coverage form, and then we're going to send it to the insurance company to see if they approve or disapprove you. So that's the first part of the upfront contract, is telling them what you're going to do. So the fulfillment side is, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I fulfill my promise to them. Okay, is I'm going to show them options. Okay, I'm going to do the 3 option close. I talked about this. Option 1, option 2, option 3. Okay, it's so important that you show them significantly different options. Like this might be $100 a month, this might be $50 a month, and this might be $25 a month. It's got to be significant options they can choose from. Don't do 100, 99, and 98. Okay, that's not an option. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. These got to be significantly different from each other. Here's the other thing is like, oh my God, gang, do not be a commission breath hungry salesperson. Clearly, I know this from my 17 years in the business that the higher the premium goes, okay, the premium is related. The premium is related to it kind of does this, placement persistency, okay? So the higher the premium, the placement persistency goes down. There's kind of this like supply-demand curve is like what happens. You want to get where the premium is below the placement of persistency. So you want to get that premium down in here, because once it goes over here, they're going to cancel, all right? So you don't be too enamored with the high premiums. Like, don't show them, 500, 300 and 200. It's like, man, that's a recipe for disaster. So don't be too, like, if they need it, if their pain warrants it, then show them the higher premiums because their pain warrants it. They're willing to pay higher to cover their pain. Do you see that, how that works? According to their budget. So don't get too premium happy, okay? I always go for the lower premium. I always go for the simpler option. I always go because I want the thing placed. I can go back and show them something else. I don't try to make it too complex. I just want to get it done, something they can afford, that they feel good about, and then my ongoing relationship with them will help them get into some better options later, okay? But I don't try to go for it all. Like, don't be greedy, man. Okay, this is something real important. On replacements, if you know you're replacing a policy, if you know that there's a policy that sucks and they're going to replace that policy with our policy, which is better, you've got to protect your sale on a replacement. So number one, you got to make sure, okay, after they pick that option, you have to say, okay, Joe and Mary, I want to make sure that you clearly understand that our option at $125 a month for this policy is going to be better than the option of you keeping your policy that you're paying $130 a month. And it's not just price, it's features, benefit, whatever. I just want to make sure, because the insurance commissioner wants to make sure that we never leave you in a situation that's worse for you, okay? And we're ethically bound and bound by our license with the state to make sure we always put you in a better situation. So I want to make sure you totally understand that our policy is going to be better than the one that you want to replace. Do you have any questions on that whatsoever? And they say, no, absolutely, this is what we want because that other agent did us wrong. I can see that now. I know how this policy is going to be way better for us. Okay, great. Okay, so Joe and Mary, you're going to be filling out some replacement forms. Okay, now you can only do this on paper applications. You can't do this on electronic, which is one of the reasons why I like paper. But on a replacement, it's like Joe and Mary, okay, so on the replacement form, Joe and Mary, what we're going to write here is we're going to write, I do not want a call from the agent from this company. In other words, if you're replacing an AIG policy, you have them you write it and you have them sign it. On the replacement form, I do not want an AIG agent or anyone from the company to call me about replacing this policy. Then you have them sign and you have them date. And that's how you protect your policy from getting a call from that other agent that's going to try to talk crap about our policy, and they're just going to try to save his commission. Because remember, when they cancel his persistency goes down, okay? And he's going to want to conserve it. So how you can protect it is having them write on paper. Now, you can't do an electronic application. I don't know how you can do an electronic application. I don't think you can do it. But on a paper application, if you can do that, that's how you protect getting your replacements protected. All right? All right. So we covered those. The post-sale. This is where everything This is where rocks for placement of persistency. All right. So, number one, I call it push the check back. It's not really, this is what we used to do, but I just call it that now. On the ATM, there's a part that it says Now, on the second to the last slide, it says, okay, Joe and Mary, do you feel comfortable with this $125 payment? Okay. Now, don't just say, they say, well, yeah, we're comfortable with it. Don't leave it there. Ask them, this is, again, part of like pain finding. Okay, yeah, that's great. I'm glad it's comfortable. But let me kind of paint a scenario for you. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Okay. And January, you get hit with your credit card bills for Christmas. Are you going to look at your $125 premium payment that's coming out at the 5th of the month? And are you going to want to call me to cancel it because you can't afford it? And then shut up. No, Alex, we're going to keep it. Okay, just one more question. It's vacation. And you put a lot of money towards vacation. You come back from vacation and you see that you have this $125 coming out on the 5th of August. Are you going to want to call me and cancel because it's too expensive? And then shut up. Let them say, no, we're going to keep it. They should be a little bit perturbed you're asking that question again. That's what I call pushing the check back, because you're just making sure you're running that premium by them another time. Okay, you're locking it down. Why wouldn't you want to do it? Well, I'm scared they're going to say that it's too expensive. Oh my gosh. That's what you're trying to find out. If you say, when you say, okay, $125, are you going to look at that coming out? You're going to want to cancel? And they pause for a long time. They look at each other. I tell you what, when that pause is a long time, I'll go ahead and interject. I go, Joe and Mary, I'm getting the feeling like it might be a little bit more than you're comfortable with. Why don't we go back to option 2 or option 1? Let me ask you, does that $80 a month option sound better for you? Does that feel better to you? How does that look to you? Yeah, that $80 can be way better. Oh my gosh, that's what you wanted to know. You gave them another chance to talk them out of a higher premium that they're going to cancel later. You wait for that uncomfortable feeling, like they realize, man, that's so $125. That program is awesome, but it's $125. So offer them the opportunity to drop it down to option 2 or option 1. Like, don't be so dadgum commission hungry, because you ain't got a commission that gets charged back. Do you understand that? That's what this is all based on. So number 1, you push the check back. Number 2, this is why you're with them in their home. You pre-deliver the policy. Alex, what's pre-delivery? You have your policy with you, and you pull your policy out, and you do the wacka wacka wacka. You kind of like, Joe and Mary, so when you pre-deliver, you go, Joe and Mary, let me show you what your policy is going to look like. Now, look, remember, all this time up to now, this has been a conceptual sale. It's like this big ethereal insurance company is going to approve this big policy that's going to cover my family, but it's all concept. It's not a hard thing that they could wacka wacka with. I usually keep, oh man, let's just pretend that this is, okay, this is your policy. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to show you my policy. Now what happens? You created credibility immediately because you're buying what you're selling. You're your own best customer. So show them your policy. So Joe and Mary, let me show you what your policy is going to look like. And you actually pre-deliver their policy with your policy. You say, okay, so you see mine. You see here that, you see my name here. Your name's going to go here. And you see all the benefits here? Okay. These are going to be your benefits. This your $125,000 mortgage is going to be covered. You got the disability rider. So my disability rider, yours will be just like this. Okay. And then I flip through the pages and I show them. So these are all the provisions here, the provision section. So you can read, if you want to, if you're suffering from insomnia, you want to read through here so it'll put you to sleep. And then here's a copy of your application, and I show them the end of it. See, so yours is going to look like this. All of a sudden, a conceptual sale becomes a real sale because they have something they're holding. Now, the kinesthetic people that need to feel something, that's done deal right there, baby. When they can see what they're going to get, You know, the visual people will see it. The kinesthetic people, the feelers, will feel it. Hey, once you see that? Here, feel how, that's your policy. That'll be your policy. They feel it. It's like, yeah, right? And pre-deliver the policy. That will lock it in big time. Okay, number 3. You need to protect your sale from other NEA agents or other insurance agents. Yeah, I said it. Other NEA agents that try to snake your client. Yes, we do have NEA agents that will snake your client. They'll come in and they'll replace your policy. I've seen it done. We try to get rid of those agents, or we try to counsel those agents. But they will do that. They will. So you need to protect your sale. How do you protect your sale? You go, okay, Joe, Mary, look, our company and other companies like to be very thorough in making sure that you're taken care of. And I'm sure maybe you've sent these leads to other companies, and you're going to have other agents from those companies calling you. And you might even have agents from our company call you, because usually when we send a policy in, an application in, they're going to pull your information sheet you sent us, because they don't know what a lead is. Don't call it a lead, because that's, no, that's your jargon, not theirs. You know, that information form you sent us, it might not get pulled out of the inventory. And so one of our agents might call you. They might be real slick and trying to get in your house. And can you just do me a favor and do you a favor? Do you feel good about what we did here? Yeah. Do you like me as an agent? You think I served you well? Well, yeah, you did a great job. Okay. So it's not to confuse anything or anyone. Can you just please tell them that I've already taken care of it? Now, I promise you, they're salespeople, right? They're going to be really good at trying to work your way in your house. They're going to tell you all kinds of stuff like, I can do better. I can save you money. I can do this. I can do that. Again, do you feel okay with what we've done here? Okay. Like, so are you going to tell, what are you going to tell them? Well, I'm going to tell them that, you know, we already took care of it. Okay, good. Because I want to make sure that you feel comfortable with this. If you don't, that's fine. Then we need to find other options for you, or not even do it. But if you do feel like this is what you're going to do, then, you know, can you tell all those other people that will be calling you? I don't say they might. They probably will be calling you after I leave. Can you just tell them that you took care of it and you're not going to entertain anyone and just hang up? Don't let them try to sell you and come back in. Is that okay? Protect your sale. Don't be stupid, because another sharp agent's going to talk their way in there and they're going to replace your policy. Protect your sale. Number 4, tell them you're going to call them back. Whatever, that's not right. Tell them you're going to call them back. Okay, so how you do the call back is, so Joe and Mary, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave you my card, and I'm going to call you back in a couple days to see if you have any questions. Okay? And if you've got any question, I want you to jot it down on a piece of note paper. And in fact, let me go to your refrigerator and put your card underneath a magnet. I'm going to put it right underneath this magnet. Now, if they have an aluminum or one of those, they don't have magnets, you know, I would just get some tape. I'd have some tape with me. I'd tape it on there. I'd say, just call me. I'll call you. But if you have any questions, write them down, and I'm going to answer your questions, because I'm sure maybe the next couple of days you might have questions. So you tell them that you're going to call them back. All right? But Alex, if I call them back, they're going to want to cancel. Oh my gosh, that's what you want to know. You want to know if they're going to cancel, because buyer's remorse usually sets in after a couple days. So number 5 is you actually call them back. Call them back. Oh my gosh, they're going to cancel. Yes, you want to know that. So when you call back, you say, hey, Joe, Mary, this is Alex. You know, I was there a couple days ago. They should remember you, I hope. Yeah, I remember you. Awesome. Hey, listen, I'm just calling back to see if you have a couple questions. If you have any questions for me, I want to make sure I answer them so that you feel real comfortable with this. Silence. And then you're going to hear this. Well, Alex, me and my wife have been talking. Okay, you know what they're going to say. which is what you want to hear. You want to hear that because you have a chance. So you have a chance 2 days later, but I promise you 2 weeks later when you try to deliver it, you don't have a chance because they've made their decision 2 days after you left. And then they had 2 weeks minus 2 days to solidify the decision that they don't want the policy from you. And they'll never change their mind. It's like cement. You have a chance to make changes to cement, the form, early when it's wet versus when it's dry. Same thing with buyer's remorse. Don't let it cement in for 2 weeks. Call them 2 days later. When they give you that, well, meanwhile, I've been talking, it's like, hey, Joe, you know what? When I left, I didn't have a good feeling about it. You know what? I've got some time tonight. I can be over there by 8:30. And let's talk about it. Let's figure out like what might be better for you. Oh, good. Yeah, I think we need to drop the price down to that other option. All right, cool. We can just rewrite it. No problem. We can take care of it. No big deal. But I promise you 2 weeks later, they're not going to want to talk to you. So you've got to call them back. You tell them you're going to call them back, and then you fulfill your promise to them to call them back. It's called trust. You gain trust when you tell them what you're going to do, and then you do it. You're creating trust with your client. That increases your persistency. Do you see how all this fits? So you really call them back. Number 6, send a card. And I promise you, gang, it's not a thank you card. Never thank anybody for doing business with you. Does your doctor thank you for coming in? No, your doctor doesn't thank you for coming in the office. You're the doctor. They're the patient. You solve their pain with a policy that's going to take care of their pain. So you need to not thank them. You need to send a card in the mail saying, hey, I really enjoyed meeting you. I think it went very well. Listen, here's my information again. If you ever lose it, call me anytime. I'd be happy to serve you with anything else. Put nice stuff in there, but never thank them for their business. You're the one that solved their problem. They should be thanking you. You send them a card. Number 7, do the touch base every week. Okay, what do I mean by touch base? Touch them every week after you left them. So the next week, if it hadn't been issued yet, you call them back and say, hey, Joe and Mary, I just want to let you know that your policy is still in underwriting. I just want to make sure that you know that it's still in underwriting. I haven't forgot you. Okay? Because like if your policy gang, if you never touch base with them and it's been 3 weeks, it's taken a long time, maybe there's stuff going on with their thing and they're whatever, and they never hear from you, then they're wondering, well, we probably got declined. That agent never called us back. We'll shop with someone else. That's when they're going to be open for another agent to come in. Because you never, and then when you call them back, hey, great news, next week, hey, Joe and Mary, got your policy, it's issued. Let me come over, we're going to go over it. And they'll say, well, no, we already took care of it with the other agent. They said that they're going to get us our policy in a week. You like totally blew it. You need to touch base with them. So you do a number of different ways. In the old days, what I used to do is I used to write a letter, like a form letter. It was like every week had a different thing I said. Hey, just want to let you know underwriting, it still has your policy. And then I would sign it, and then my secretary would mail it to them and put it in the mail. All right? They put it in the mail. You can still do that if you want. But another way of touching base is leaving a voicemail. Like call them during the daytime when you know they're at work and leave a voicemail saying, hey, Joe married to Alex. Hey, I'm sorry I missed you. Okay? It's great to have a conversation, but if you're busy, writing a bunch of policies, you can't be talking to every client. You could be, but to be more efficient, I just leave a voicemail. Hey, it's Alex. Just want to make sure underwriting's going good so far. Haven't heard anything yet. I'll call you when it's issued, and then I'll arrange time for us to get together on it. All right? Call me if you got any questions. If they just play a voicemail to hear that, it's like, oh, my agent loves me. They give you, they know that things are progressing. All right? So you can do the voicemail. Can you do email? I suppose you could email them too and just say the same thing. But sometimes you have the danger of email going into spam, so they may not get it. I like to either do the voicemail or actually calling them or do the letter. But touch every week, okay? Every week. Then number 8, personally deliver the policy. Yes, personally, meaning in person, okay? You get the policy and then you call the client. Or if it's one of those where they send the policy to the client, you need to check your pending every day to find out if it got issued and then when it got sent. And then you call your client up, either you got it or you know that it got sent to them, and say, hey, Joe, Mary, this is Alex. I got your policy here and I need about 5 minutes to come over and deliver it to you. When's a good time to come over? And what you do is you try to fit it in between your appointments, try to put it in your schedule when you're going to be out in the field anyway, and then you go out there and you deliver the policy. What's the policy delivery? It's exactly what you did when you were in their home delivering your policy. You show them their policy. Yeah, you can do a little bit more to it, but it only takes about 5 minutes. But there's all kinds of good juju going on. It's like unwrapping a Christmas gift. That's what I always call it. I love policy deliveries. You know, if they got sent the policy, just say, hey, Joe, Mary, did you get that big envelope with your policy in it? Oh, yeah, that must be this thing. I'm sure you didn't open it yet. No, we haven't opened it yet. You know, people don't open these because they know it's a policy. They're going to file it somewhere. So you say, well, let me come over. It takes about 5 minutes, and let's open it up. Let's take a look at it, right? And it's like uncovering a Christmas gift. When you go over there, you say, hey, congratulations. Not everyone gets approved, but you got approved. So let's go over your policy. So I show them all their benefits. I remember why you like these benefits. Do you remember why it was important for you to get them? Okay. In fact, let me do this, Joe and Mary. See this 3x5 card? And this is where this is where it just gets locked down. This is where you really lock down persistency. Okay, on this 3x5 card, I want to write down like the 3 reasons you really want this policy. Number 1 was, okay, you want to make sure that Mary and the kids were going to have a home. Okay, great. Number 2, other things. Number 3, I try to write down like the top 3 reasons they want the policy. They like the return of premium option and the credit, the Foresters member benefits were really good. So I write those 3 things on a 3x5 sheet or card. And then I get my stapler out of my bag. I say, you know what, I'm going to, just so this reminds you what it is, and I'm going to write down your premium payment, $125 a month. Okay, and I'm going to put my number, Alex Abuyuan, and then I'm going to put my cell phone. Okay, I'm going to put it on the 3x5 card. I'm going to staple this 3x5 card on your policy. Okay, so whenever you pull your policy out, or if you ever wonder why I'm paying $125 a month, you look at your policy and you look at these 3 reasons, and then you have my name and number. Okay, because I want you to remember why you got this policy and why it's important to you. So when you ever question why you're paying $125 a month, you look at your policy and it's right there. All right? I tell you what, these techniques, everything works a little bit, but the whole thing works for good. Your place in persistency ought to be in 90% after you do all these things. And I staple it on there, and then I go through their policy. I go, so these are your benefits, okay? This is your payment program. You see how the annual premium payment will go to 30 years, and then after that, it shows it'll increase a lot. That's just something they show. You know, it's probably not, if you had to extend it beyond, it's probably not going to be that high. Then I show them the benefits page on their death benefit and how it gets paid out. I show them the riders, if they bought riders, where the riders, if you ever wondered how this return of premium rider worked, here's the page where you can read all about it. Okay, and then here's a copy of your application at the end. Congratulations, your family's covered. This is the only way this would ever go out of force, Joe and Mary, is if you decide not to pay on it anymore. So that's why it's important, Joe and Mary, that if you ever change your bank account, you got to call me, and I can help arrange the new bank draft information. That's why I put my number right here on your policy. Okay, so you want to anchor your number with the policy. Also write my name and number on the inside of the policy, first page, I put Alex Abian, my email, phone number. I tell them I'm going to put it right here also, so you don't lose it. So you always have my number, right? Every time they look at their policy, you're going to see the 3 reasons why they wanted it. It will always resell them on keeping it on that little simple 3x5 card. All right. So you personally deliver the policy, and then number 9, this is what you do. You do your annual reviews. Annual review. You check on them every year. You call them up on the anniversary of when you sat down with them, and you do your annual review. And really, it's just this. Hey, Joe, Mary, it's Alex. You know, it's been about a year since we got your policy. I hope everything's going well with you. Hey, listen, it's about time for our annual review. It's only going to take about 5 minutes. So I'll just come over, check in with you, see if anything changed in your situation, your health, your family situation, or whatever. And I just want to keep tabs on making sure that I know and I'm current with what all's going on with you. Is that cool? And they might say, well, you know, we're really busy. You don't really have to come over. You know, okay, that's cool. I don't, you know, I know you're busy. Just let me ask you a couple questions. Are there any changes in your job situation? Any changes in your health? Any changes in children? Have you had any more kids? Okay, I want to find out just these things. Any changes there? You're happy with your policy? It's going to cover everything you need. Boom, done. You get over the phone, but you touch base with them. Okay, the next year you do the same thing. They say, you know what? Why don't you come over? We kind of forgot what all was in our policy. Why don't you come on over? And then, you know, we got 10 minutes. Okay, and then you book your appointment. You go over there. Now, I promise you, half the time I've ever had, I did an interview in person, they wanted something else. Like half the time, like statistically, half the time I went out there, I always wrote something else. So you got to do the annual reviews. That's another element of doing it. All right. See, these are the 9 things that will help you get your placement persistency up. So my question is, how many of those are you actually doing? And if you say none, oh my gosh, stop writing business unless you commit to doing all these things. This will ensure that you're going to make this career something that will be long term. It'll go on for the rest of your life. All right? And when you teach your agents to do these things, you are not going to have roll-ups from clients. Like, you know, because your agents are productive and they're making money. Does that make sense? You teach your people this, and you do it so you can teach it. All right? So I'm going to unmute. Oh, man, I didn't want to take this long. I don't know how many people are still on. Let me unmute. Anyone have any questions on this? No questions? All right. Yeah. Oh, well, in the first 10 months, 25%. No, it probably doesn't. It depends on how many you're writing. You know, I don't know. If you're writing a lot of policies, maybe it's more like 10%, 5%. If you're not writing a lot of policies, I'd say 25%. I would just be like careful. All right. But look, if you're doing all these things, you're going to have like maybe a 10% chargeback rate. If you do none of these, you're going to have, it's going to be high. It's going to be ugly. No, I promise you, it'll be ugly. You know, so anyway. Any other questions?
Hey, Alex, can you get a second policy from the, like if you have a, you know, I've got a policy from Foresters. I kind of don't want to carry it around with me because I want it at home because I figure something's going to happen to me. I want it, it's going to be while I'm in the car. So can they ship me another policy so I can use?
You might just have to pay for it. You might have to pay $25 for another copy.
Okay.
It would be worth it.
Thank you. Yeah.
But my wife knows who to call if something happens to me. So.
Any other questions?